Hello everyone, my name is Yue Xiaodong. I'm a professor at Capital Normal University. Welcome to my course on skills for writing and publishing academic papers in English. And today's topic is conference proposal and presentation. Before we start our talk, let's see the vocabulary or the words for this talk. I'll do you a favor. Please read after me to familiarize your ear for the terms, for the words, for the vocabulary I'll mention in this talk. Are ready? Read after me. Academic conference. Academic conference. Peer-reviewed. Peer-reviewed. Illustrate. Illustrate. Format. Format. Approximately. Approximately. Integral. Integral. Aesthetically. Aesthetically. Blurring. Blurring. Heading. Heading. Significance. Significance. Substantiate. Substantiate. Emphasis. Emphasis. Approachable. Approachable. Restate. Restate. Elegant. Elegant. Unambiguous. Unambiguous. Presentation slide. Presentation slide. Convince. Convince. Highlight. Highlight. Essence. Essence. Publish. Publish. Submit. Submit. Scientific journal. Scientific journal. Editorial. Editorial. Version. Version. Journal. Journal. Magazine. Magazine. Supplementary material. Supplementary material. Acknowledge. Acknowledge. Interpretability. Interpretability. Manuscript. Manuscript. Rejection. Rejection. Identify. Identify. Shortcoming. Shortcoming. Professional. Professional. Colleague. Colleague. Acknowledgement. Acknowledgement. Corresponding author. Corresponding author. Now, first of all, what is a conference? Academic conference is an important part of academic networking and exchange of ideas. So to attend an academic conference, one needs to submit an abstract of his or her research study and waits to be accepted. And the same as a paper submission, a conference proposal submission is basically an abstract of the main points of your research study or the theoretical propositions. And you need to convince or impress the conference organizers that you have something important or valuable to add to the conference. So this is about a conference. Now, why would you go to conferences? And moreover, how is conference participation related to publishing papers in English? First of all, you need to go to conferences to publicize your research studies. It's exchange of ideas, getting people's feedback. Okay? Second, you get feedback or even critical comments from your audience and participants. So this is a good time that you invite other people to look at your paper with a critical mind. Thirdly, to update your knowledge in your topic area. You do not come to a conference to present your own ideas, your findings. You also go to other sessions and you want to hear what other people have to say about their studies, particularly the keynote address or plenary sessions. You find some really interesting studies presented by what is called a big cow, a big coffee. Big cow, 大牛, big coffee, 大咖. You want to hear what they talk about their studies. That'll be very interesting or inspiring, aspiring. You will be very interesting or aspiring for you. And fourthly, to learn from other colleagues for academic aspiration and inspiration. You learn from each other, basically. And fifth, to travel around the city of the conference. Okay? So you go to different places, you may want to travel around. And the sixth, to shop around the stores of the city hosting the conference, particularly for girls or for women. They love to travel around, particularly if you bring your family to the conference. This is a time of joy, relaxation. Now, this is one conference that I went, and this are the people presenting the papers together, and we took a group photo. Some of these people are big cow, or big coffee in the field, like the people to my right. He's a big coffee, so it's very good time for me to know him, and then to invite him to give me critiques on my paper, on my thinking, even on my book, and he did help me. So that's the primary goals of going to conferences. What are the secondary goals to go to conferences? First, you want to look for opportunities of publishing your research findings. Always keep this in mind. You do not go to conferences simply to present your findings. You go to conferences looking for opportunities to publish your research findings on different journals, Chinese or English. Second, to look for potential collaborators for joint studies. If you do your own study, you feel alone. You can only have participants within a particular place. But if you go to a conference, you find other people who share the same interest, and you can work together. Or you can propose to someone who really get along with you, and you can say, I do a collaborative study for you, and you do a collaborative study for me, and when I publish my work, I'll enlist you as the co-author. When you publish your work, you'll enlist me as a co-author. See, this is how you develop what is called joint ventures of academic studies. Thirdly, to look for opportunities of inviting speakers to visit your campus. So you want to identify some key figures in the field, or what we call big cow, big coffee, and say, can you visit our place? We can pay for your visit. And I'm going to organize my students, my colleagues, to give you a warm welcome. And you can even think about it, our university as your collaborator for future development of your studies. Well, some big cow or some big coffee, we want to do that. This is the opportunity. Conferences. Fourthly, to look for opportunities of making visits to expected campuses. In other words, it's not just you inviting other people to your campus, you want to visit their campuses. Now you email to someone, can I go to your campus for a visit? Oh, too busy. Oh, I'm sorry, we don't have the budget for you. Or it's hard to arrange. But if you go to conferences where you have a pleasant lunch together or dinner together, well, it's very easy to make the proposal, particularly if it is mutual visits. Well, that will be a lot easier to get it arranged. And fifthly, to look for opportunities of employment and advanced studies. That means you go to conferences to find a job. You go to conferences looking for postgraduate studies, even postdoctoral fellowship. Because if you email someone, call someone, you don't have the feeling of sitting together, getting things done. So always keep this in mind. This is the secondary goals of the conference. It's not just you make your presentations. It is to accomplish these additional goals of conference participation or attendance that's going to matter for you. For example, this photo. His name is Tato Salvatore, and who he is the editor of the journal in our field. It's called Humor, an International Journal of Human Studies. Okay, so I met him, and I brought a little gift for him. I attended his session so that he would give me some time and talk about my studies, talk about my manuscripts ready for submission. And you know what? I published 3 articles on the journal out of this simple talk conversation. So this is how it matters, how it worked for you. Okay, having said all of this, let's see some general formulas for writing a good conference abstract. A conference proposal generally includes the following components: the title, whatever title it is, okay, topic, area, focus of a study. Second, authors, names, institutions, fund agencies. Third, the problem, research gaps, issues, and problems you want to resolve in your study. Fourth, purpose, the goals, objectives, significance of your study. Method, okay? And participants, subjects, apparatus, design, procedure, all of this. Finally, the results. What are major findings, outcomes, significance? So this is how you give a good conference proposal. It's like a paper proposal, but you need to be more targeted towards the conference presentation. Now, I give you 10 tips for having a good conference attendance. First of all, you need to state clearly in abstract the problem's value of your research study. Okay? Second, you need to keep in mind the deadlines of abstract submission and avoid the last minute rush. It happens like this is an important conference, but you forgot the date. When ready to submit, the deadline's over. Now, in the web era, if the deadline's over, the submission page is closed. You cannot even submit anything. You can only go to conference without submission. Too bad. It happened to a lot of people. Thirdly, study themes of the conference to have a focus of your presentation. Normally, conference have different sessions, so people of the similar studies or the same focus of study would present together. So you want to find different themes, find something that's relevant to of your study and of the conference. You need to do your homework. Fourthly, tailor your abstract to fit specific needs and requirements of the session or whatever. You can have a special session. Propose a group of people present together. Fifth, keep an abstract within the requested word limit. Okay, some abstract proposal will ask you 250 words or 500 words or even 800 words. Depends. You have to really to keep within the word limit. Six, practice your oral presentation before you actually make it. Okay. Particularly if you go to international conferences, you have to present in English or other languages. Make sure you do the presentation. You do not want to appear stupid. You do not want to appear unprepared for the oral presentation. And seventh, bring printouts of your study for distribution. Because when you have the printouts, people can read the article and you can put your contact. People can contact you directly. So that's an easy way of making friends. Extend your influence. The worst is that make a presentation, people want to know your study, you say, email me, I'll give you. Some people forget. If they have the printouts, they all see the paper immediately. So this is how you get well prepared, well positioned for conference participation. 8th, book accommodation and a flight ahead of time. Do not do the last minute rush when everything gets more expensive. And 9th, keep receipts of the conference for possible reimbursement. Because if you go to international conferences, more likely you get support from your university. If you want to get money back, you don't lose your receipts. That's a good habit. You keep all of them. And 10th, socialize and network for academic advancement. I said this again and again and again. Go to conference to network, to make friends for academic joint ventures and academic advancement. This is the opportunity. Having said all of this, let's just share an experience that I have for attending a conference. Now, this is the conference, the 9th European Conference on Positive Psychology. And it's going to have the conference on June 27th to 30th, 2018. So I received this notification. I think, well, this seems a good opportunity for me to present some of my findings, to make friends. And I checked the people who will attend the conference. There was a big guy, or big coffee, or big cow that I want to see. So this is the purpose. I want to go to this conference. Next, I come up with a proposal. The title is Why Females Feel Happier and More Depressed at the Same Time, a study among Chinese undergraduates. Well, I don't have to read the rest. I have to submit a proposal. If I get the proposal accepted, then I can get university to support me to go to the conference. At the time, I was teaching at the Sydney University of Hong Kong, in Hong Kong. Okay, then I got my proposal submission accepted on April the 5th. That's a good news. So I get this accepted. And after this, what should I do? Well, I start to check the conference registration, how much it costs to pay for the registration, to pay for the flight, to pay for the accommodation. And these are 3 most important things. Usually they have early bird discounted price. That means if you register earlier, you have a discounted price. So I paid my registration early, and then I get the discounted price. It's about a 10% discount. Then I get a summary. If you know the date, the deadline for earliest registration is April 30th. You know when I made my payment. Okay, now you can see the conference registration. Altogether, it's cost 3,090 euro. That's about 3,900 RMB. And I made an earlier payment. It's going to be discounted for the price. So altogether, I paid 5,090 euro for the conference. This includes the conference participation and also conference organized activities. And early registration deadline was on April 15th, 2018. You know, when I make the payment is April 8th, 2018. Why? Because if I decided to do something, I don't have to wait for the last minute. I could do this earlier. Now next, I booked the flight. The flight I booked through Xiecheng, okay, sea trip. when I book it, is April 12th, 2018. And you can imagine a flight from Hong Kong to Budapest, how much would it cost? You imagine for yourself. It's probably 5,000 or 6,000 Hong Kong dollars. It's probably 5,000 to 6,000 renminbi. But do you know how much it cost me? 2,328 renminbi to fly from Hong Kong to Budapest. Of course, I take a cheaper flight, fly from Hong Kong to Moscow, from Moscow to Budapest. So this is how it saves the money. Having done this, next I need to book the hotel. When I book the hotel, it's April 12th. And how much is it? It's 1,514 for a night. Now, this is pretty expensive for overseas hotels, but if you book earlier, it's cheaper. Otherwise, it could be 3,000, 2,000 to 3,000 per night if you book hotel on the spot. So this is what I'm getting the receipt from all of this. Okay, having done all of this, I make my flight to Budapest. It was so pleasant, it was so well planned. And here I'm in a city, pleasant, in a different city called Budapest, the capital of Hungary in Europe. And this is the conference, okay, the ninth European Conference on Positive Psychology. And this is like my poster. The poster means you present your findings. I have a poster, but I'm just put my reprints there, so people can find my articles, can find my contact. Now, this is my poster. This is my position. So you'll see, this is how you prepare all of this well in advance. And this is the moment of joy because the people, the participants from around the world have a joint gathering and with the fresh refreshments. And it was a joy, but I'm looking for someone, or I'm waiting for someone. This is the purpose of my going to the conference, because I want to see this guy, okay? Because I want to invite him, Podolsky, professor, to go to visit our campus. Normally, I write an email to him, Professor Podolsky, can you come to our university? He will not care because he's too busy. There were so many invitations. But when I'm at the conference talking in person, well, that's a lot more easier to be arranged. At the time, he's the director of Positive Psychology program at the University of Pennsylvania. Okay. And have achieved all of this. I could have a moment of relaxation. This is on the street of Budapest. I could have some coffee, joy. And then I also take a day to visit Vienna. It's a morning train to Vienna, later evening train to come back. So pleasant. And this is the city of Budapest. It looks so beautiful. Then I realized the Budapest is actually Wuhan of Europe. You know why? Because the city of Budapest is the twin city of Buda and the past. And it's separated by the river of Danube. Well, it's comparable to city of Wuhan as it is a twin city of Wuchang and Hankou, and it's separated by the Yangtze River. And also, Budapest ranks among the top tourist city in Europe, the same as Wuhan ranks among the top 10 tourist city in China. Of course, I don't have to go on with the tourist information about Budapest. I'm just telling you, you have a moment of relaxation. And then you may ask, Professor Yue, you worked in Hong Kong. They will finance you to go to international conferences. We don't have this opportunity. We can only have conferences in China. We don't think about Budapest. I'll be lucky to go to Budala Palace, Budala Gong. Well, let me tell you, even if you go to conferences in China, you still have to keep in mind what are the purposes of going to the conference. It's not just to present your findings, it's to network with friends, is to socialize with colleagues, looking for joint academic ventures, and most important of all, see if you can find opportunity to publish your work. You may need to talk with the editor because more than likely you'll be at the conference and you can talk with the person. Grab a moment, talk about your plan. Because if you submit your manuscript or a paper, you don't know what the answer is, but you can talk to the person, present your paper, the draft, or whatever you have in mind. If the person cares, he'll give you immediate feedback. And you know how much of a chance your submission may have for eventual publication. And also you will know even more about how you can revise on your paper. Remember, this is what you should achieve for going to conferences. Later on, I'm not just attending conference, I'm hosting conference. That means I'm the organizer of the conference. For instance, this conference organized the Humor International Conference in 2010. And for this conference, people all around the world come to Hong Kong, to our City University of Hong Kong. And you can see the person in the center. He's called Professor Guo Wei. He's the president of a university. I invited him to chair the opening ceremony. I invited Professor Guo Wei to give the opening speech. And then you can see the people on the left is our department head. He's very delighted that I could extend the department influence through the conference. And you can see I'm on the right. Be happy for so many people could show up. Now this is just one photo. Actually, our conference have about 300 participants. Some of them already went for traveling or shopping in Hong Kong. So not everybody showed up for the group photo. But this is how the joy. And of course, my accomplishments hosting the conference. First, extend my personal influence. Everybody say hello. I say welcome everybody. So I've become a celebrity of the day or of the period of the conference. Everybody wants to speak to me, want to thank me for organizing the conference. I want to invite them to come back again and publicizing my research works. Okay, because at this conference, I was even given the opportunity to give a keynote speech, talk about what I studied so far. Thirdly, in enhancing my academic networks, the people come around and from different countries, different continents. So I would try to do some collaborative researches or studies with them. And I even contracting a book, because previously I wrote many articles, and this is a good time that you should write a book. And this is like a moment of joy. People post for a conference celebration. Everybody say laugh, okay? And this is the book that I was contacted by an agent from a publisher. He's a reputable publisher. He wanted me to write a book on psychological analysis of Chinese humor. So I have to write a book proposal and underwent a review process and set up a schedule for myself and then submit chapter by chapter, finally keeping a deadline and get the book come out, and here is the book. And this book still credits itself as the first English book of Chinese humor in Chinese society, cultural analysis. The humor and the Chinese culture psychological perspective. Okay, that's for the accomplishments of the conference. I also want to tell you tips for making an impressive oral presentation. What you should do. First, you should follow strictly the conference instructions for oral presentation. You do not, over the time, do not necessarily do the under time. You have to see the instruction. Secondly, you give a summary of your study at the beginning. So in the beginning, you talk about what your study is, because you want to impress people at the beginning. And thirdly, you need to highlight the significance of the major findings of your study. You could in colored or underlined words. And fourthly, you need to wrap up your presentation with a take-home message. That means the most important thing you want people to remember of your study. Use short phrases and bullet points for presentation. Do not use sentences, and use relevant cartoons. So you entertain the audience with your presentations. So here are some of the conference presentations I make. And you can see the photo on the back. It is a cartoon I use about Mr. Bean, replacing, is not Mona Lisa, it's the Mona Lisa. How funny that is, the cartoon. Okay. Also, I want to tell you the tips for making an impressive conference poster. Conference poster means you put your presentation in paper. That's called a poster. You can provide a succinct and attractive summary of your research paper, and pay attention to the following. You should use short and sharp title or headings to get people's attention. Use bullet points rather than complete sentences. Have a constructing background for easy reading. Okay. Use tables and figures for illustration, and follow the guidelines provided by the conference. Do not create your own style. And finally, include the key references. And you see, this is like another conference instructions, like you have to present within 10 to 15 minutes, and there will be a Q&A or question and answer session later. So you have to read this, do it exactly as required. And here is an example of an impressive poster presentation. If you really care, the people know what it's about, the contact address, they will follow you, and you can follow them accordingly. And here is my poster, and here's my in Budapest. It was a great experience. Not only that, I encourage my students to go to conferences, and one of my students made a poster presentation together with me out of her final year project. Her name is Katie Liu, and she eventually got the first prize for the conference poster among students who attended the conference. So I share her moment of joy, her moment of triumph at the conference. Okay, having said all of this, I hope you notice the importance of conference participation. It's not just making your presentation, it's the opportunity for you to publish your work and to start academic joint ventures beyond just travel or shop around the city. Thank you.